Okay, good morning everyone, and welcome to the latest edition in our webinar series. My name's Neil Thorne, and I am Head of Origination at Ometis, and I'll be comparing the session today. So we expect this to last around about 30 minutes, depending on the number of questions you have at the end, of course. Now, today's topic is Novus-AI, which is our solution designed specifically for the hospitality industry. My colleagues will explain shortly far better than I can, but it essentially does the heavy lifting. So it brings together data from all of your systems into dashboards that will enable you to more quickly find insights and allow data-driven decision making as a result. But more of that later. Right. So with me today are two new colleagues that have joined Ometis as part of our recent acquisition of hospitality data specialists Tortilla. So Simon Blackbourne was a co-founder of Tortilla, and as several of you on the call will know, has huge experience in the hospitality sector. He's our hospitality oracle. He seems to know everyone, what companies they've been at before, and what systems various organisations are using. He's going to be a huge asset for us. And as is Nick Baker, so another former director of Tortilla, and another with huge knowledge of the sector, more in the different solutions and technologies used. So welcome both. So I'm conscious there's a few on the call today that may not be aware of Ometis. Essentially, we help organisations get more value from their data. So we're partners with Qlik, Snowflake, Databricks, Microsoft. So a broad reach of technologies. We grew to about 50 staff recently with the acquisition of Tortilla, and you can see from some of the customer icons at the bottom that we are all across the different elements of hospitality. So including restaurants, hotels, but also sports, leisure, and all across the whole piece. In fact, my next slide just gives you a few examples of the hospitality sector solutions we integrate with, and frankly, if it's not on there, we're confident we can add it. So enough of me. Let's try and hear from some experts. So let me stop sharing my. Stop sharing my screen. And what I want to get into is just ask some general questions of you and Simon and Nick. So Simon, if I can start with you, what's changing in how hospitality businesses use their data?
Good morning, Neil, and thank you everybody for taking the time to join us this morning. What's changing? I think a lot's changing, but it's a lot that's changed over the last sort of 12 to 18 months. I think that's where we've seen quite a significant change in what operators want to do and how they want to use data. I think there's the obvious conversation around AI that's starting to happen now, and predictive capabilities. Everybody is talking about AI, but I think there are other things as well that are underpinning a change in the way that operators want to use data. What we've seen is operators wanting to get access to more data sources. Historically, there's been a real focus on looking at your sales data, looking at your labour data. They give you the key KPIs and the real levers to help you make some real changes in your business. But we're seeing operators wanting to look at more data sources now. So things like table booking data, things like accommodation booking if you've got rooms, gaming data for those experiential leisure concepts, things like loyalty data. We're starting to see a lot more around marketing data, CRM, Google Analytics, Google Ads, digital marketing data, so that our customers can then have a single customer view and understand behaviour of a customer. And then that leads on to how frequently the data is updated. Now, that can be outside of our control sometimes. The company supplying the data may only be able to give it to us a number of times in a day. Right. And we went for many years where overnight was just the standard way of data updates. We're now seeing operators wanting to have almost, near real-time data. So that's a real change, and it just shows how data-driven, operators are becoming. They're also becoming much more mature in their use of data. So we've gone from simple, easy, reports to consume. Operators are now, they've got much more complex requirements. They're much more mature in their use of data. So, combining different data sets together is something that, we're seeing a lot more of now. So, there's been quite a lot of change over the last 12 to 18 months, and there's more coming with the introduction of AI as well.
Yeah, is it so? I guess where you described there, in my mind, I've got quite large organisations, but can this apply to smaller ones as well? Is there anything holding them back from sort of better data practices?
Yeah, I think that one of the things that we tended to do is we've always worked with the larger operators in the sector. They tend to have large IT budgets. And so they're looking for bespoke solutions, and we will continue to provide those. But just because they are, we have smaller operators in the sector, people with only a few restaurants or a few pubs, they use the same systems as those large organizations, but they just don't have the same budget when it comes to delivering a data analytics solution, but they still have the same requirements. They still want the same information. They don't have the ability to invest in a data team or a business analyst or somebody like that. We're seeing access to data becoming easier and more affordable, so they can get access to it more easily. But having a lot of systems does mean, it becomes a complex project, and hence why we've introduced and developed the Novus-AI solution. Yes.
So moving on to Novus-AI then, Nick, what is it? And please, not too technical. A description aimed at a befuddled old brain like mine will do nicely.
Yeah, of course. So Novus-AI is essentially a product we've created to deliver a modern cloud-based reporting and analytics solution for the hospitality sector specifically. We've looked at using kind of best of breed tool sets around technology. So we've used Snowflake Data Cloud to allow us to build a good quality data platform that's scalable and provides us with the ability to maximize performance and minimize administration. And on top of that, we've also got Qlik Sense Cloud, which we've used for many years as a data analytics front end, so to visualize the data in a suite of dashboards. But because we have that underlying Snowflake data warehouse, we can use multiple tools on top of that in different ways. So we've also built a library of different integrations. You showed the screenshot earlier of all those different hospitality systems that we've worked with before. So we have a library of those integrations for most of those popular hospitality technology solutions, and those form part of this automatic deployment process where we plug it in, we plug in your data and spit out the other end some real insight and analysis for you to use.
Yeah, it's good. So just taking a step back a little bit, Simon. So talk us why Novus-AI was created in the first place. What gap in hospitality tech is it filling?
I sort of touched on this just a moment ago, talking about those large operators, with the bigger IT budgets wanting bespoke solutions. That's not what everybody wants. Not every organization, even the larger ones, have a data team. So, if you don't want to invest in a data team, how do you get a solution in place? How can you build something? Data engineers, as we know, are expensive individuals. And then when you need business analysts as well to build the reports and the technology, and how do you put it all together? So we saw an opportunity to build a platform, but it needed to be scalable. It needed to be something that would work as well for a small operator as it would for a large operator. Yeah. We wanted to use world-class technologies, and Nick's talked about Snowflake and Qlik Cloud. So we believe we've chosen technologies that will be easy for operators to use and will give us that scalability. We've put a commercial model together that lends itself to the way in which operators are used to buying technology. So it's a subscription-based solution. And it will scale, that subscription scales based on, how they grow their business. So, we will have operators with just a few sites. We'll have operators with many sites using exactly the same platform and exactly the same technologies. So that's what we're trying to achieve.
Okay, I mean, going through my mind there is, what does a Novus-AI offer people then that you wouldn't get if you built a bespoke solution?
So the aim with it is that, and I think Nick will talk about this probably more eloquently than I will, but pre-built integrations, which mean that operators don't have to pay for building bespoke integrations from their platforms. So we deliver that as part of the solution. By building it in that way, we can deliver a suite of dashboards to a customer out of the box. We can deliver it quickly. There's no management and maintenance or administration for them to do. They don't have the cost of having to manage and maintain different platforms. So, it's just for those organizations that don't want that bespoke solution, Novus-AI is essentially a win-win for them.
Yeah. So coming over to you, Nick, then on that side of it, how does it work alongside the existing systems then of a typical operator?
So we would integrate with whichever systems that a customer wants to get into Novus. So typically that would be something like an EPOS system, maybe labour data, some table booking data, maybe some guest experience, CRM data, like Simon referenced earlier. And we have effectively built the data pipelines for a wide variety of hospitality systems, Zonal, Oracle Symphony, Forth, Collins, 7 Rooms, these kind of systems that you saw on that slide at the beginning, and many more. And so those pipelines exist. We know the structure of the data that those systems provide, and so we can plug those integrations in very quickly, and therefore the customer takes advantage of that, so that with minimal upfront investment, you've got your data already there. It's already transmitted into a structure that you can use for reporting, and then we plug in these dashboards on top of that, and you can immediately start to visualize your data and start to build reports and analysis that fits your requirements.
Nice quick wins. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, moving on to the sort of implementation and support side of it. What does that implementation process look like?
Yeah, so we would start with a detailed scoping session with the customer stakeholders. So although I've talked about kind of standard integrations, what we really want to get to the bottom of is what are the outcomes that they want to get from this system. We know that we've worked with many customers, and they may have the same systems, but they don't necessarily have the same requirements of what they'd like to do with that data and how they'd like to see it. So we really do a scoping session to really understand that a little bit better with the customer stakeholders. And then we look at the integrations that they want to ingest, and we might break those integrations up into phases and deploy the quickest ones first, depending on getting access to those data sources from those suppliers. And then we build the data pipelines, we deploy the data pipelines, I should say, and we plug in the dashboards, and then we start to do a little bit of training. We provide you with the ability to self-service, so you don't just get the dashboards we give you, you get the data model, you get the data warehouse, you can do what you need to do with that data in whatever way you wish. So we give you a little bit of training around that, and how long that takes will depend on a variety of factors, access to those data sources, and various other bits and pieces that how much customization we might need to do for you and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I was just thinking along the lines of, these guys are, very busy people. How do we ensure that they have that sort of smooth transition into it? And so picking quick wins is one of the ways that we do that, presumably.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, we need the support of the customer to be able to do this well. But we don't need you to be data engineers and data analysts on day one. So we start with a kind of reconciliation process, make sure that the data we're pulling from those systems matches up with what you're expecting to see. We need your support with that, the customer support, to make sure that that's all working. And then we do some, like I said, we do some online self-paced training to get people up and running with Qlik quickly. And then we do additional learning sessions with them to really cement that knowledge so that your teams can really start to use the tool and build reports themselves.
Okay. So those multiple system integrations, then, how does that work?
Yeah, so we pull data from multiple systems, like we said. So what we have is a set of starter dashboards. So we'll pull your data safe from your EPOS system, and we'll provide you with a set of dashboards around that EPOS data. That helps us to understand that we've got the numbers correct that you're expecting to see, that they look good, that the KPIs that we're calculating are calculating correctly.
Yeah.
And we'll do that kind of like as a starting point for each of your different integrations, so individually looking at each of those systems. But the real benefits are when you can combine those different data sets together. So we bring those together into a single app, which we call the performance app, which will bring KPIs from various places around your business into a single place. So you can look at your sales alongside your bookings and your labor and your everything in one place, and we'll talk to you, and we can design and build that in the way that works best for you. And you also can build further upon that and build further things on top of that data structures that we've created. So that allows you to look at all those multiple sources in a single place and drive insight, so that you can understand how different things impact different areas of the business.
Yeah, no, I like that. Presumably we give them some ongoing support after they've gone live. Again, hospitality, it tends to work in the evenings, as and out of hours, or out of normal office hours. How do we cope with that?
Yeah, so currently we have a UK-based support team who actually work Monday to Friday 9 till 5:30 standard. We're looking to launch a premium extended support service soon to cover early mornings, weekends, just to make sure all the data pipelines are successfully worked. We will occasionally perhaps have issues with source data appearing in the right place at the right time. We're relying on so many different other suppliers to get the data in the right place for us to be able to pick it up, that sometimes there are issues with some of those upstream processes. So our team will pick those up and get those things up and running again for you as soon as things are identified, and just make sure that the data is in the right place for you and that your reports are all going out.
Okay. I mean, coming back to you, Simon, can you sort of give me some examples of success stories around this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think probably the first one is the fact that this is probably the first piece of marketing, if that's what we call this, that we've done around Novus-AI. We haven't done any promotion on it at all, and we've got 5 customers already, up and running and live on the platform. with a variety of different integrations and pipelines being set up. So I think that in itself is a win. But to talk more specifically about some of the successes that we've had, Tortilla, one of our first customers to go live. They've got 72 locations in the UK that we are bringing data from. It's EPOS stock and labour data that we are capturing currently with more pipelines to go in the future. One of the things that they had was a very complex report they produced on a weekly basis. It was Excel based. It was driven from a number of other Excel reports. So the complexity was just, pretty overwhelming. That is now fully integrated into Novus. It's delivered automatically, and that in itself, just that one report has been a huge win for them. But I think more importantly, what they were saying to me recently was where they've got to in the last sort of 6 to 12 months in terms of having access to data, the agility it gives them, the ability to ask questions and get answers quickly has had a significant impact on the business. And then we've got people like Alchemist with 22 sites. So, a third of the size of, oh, sorry, the lights have gone off in my office. The Alchemist have got 22 sites. We've delivered that. As I understand it, once their CEO saw the information that was coming through, he asked for it to be updated more regularly. So I think we've now got sales and labour data coming in for them 3 times a day.
Okay.
It just shows the importance of this data when people can get access to it in an intuitive and easy to consume way.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'll hear more and more of these stories as time goes on.
Oh, that sounds good. Sounds good. Moving on to the sort of onboarding of people then, like you've just described there. So can you sort of explain to me how that subscription model works that you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, so we want to try and keep it as simple as we can, but essentially we have a setup fee that is to set up the system initially. And then once the system is up and running and is live, there is a subscription fee to pay on a monthly basis. And that subscription fee is dictated by a number of variables, primarily the number of locations that the customer has, the number of software licenses that they want, so how many users they want to have access to the system, and then the number of integrations that we've done. So typically what will happen is the subscription will be put in place once a customer goes live, and then they'll come back to us at some point in the future. We'll have a conversation and say, hey, can we pull this data in? Let's bring our CRM data in, or let's bring our Google Analytics or our customer feedback data. So we'll add on to that, and then that will be a setup fee and an increment to the subscription.
Right. Okay. So I guess that asks the question of Nick then. So what's included in that initial setup?
Yeah, so that setup is effectively about us deploying those data ingestion pipelines that I talked about, which will run a couple of times a day out of the box. We can increase that, like Simon said, if necessary. We also include in that process ingesting what we call master data, so a kind of set of data, maybe for your sites, that explains the locations and different attributes of those locations to help you to understand your business better and group your data in different ways in your reporting. Your budgets as well, we'll pull those in so that you've got something to compare against on your reporting. And then we have some pre-built as part of these integrations. We talk about pre-built data cleansing processes, data preparation, and refactoring of the data to get it ready for reporting. And then you end up with a nice clean data warehouse ready for you to use with any BI tool. And then Qlik sets on the top of that, we have these fully featured starter dashboards that I talked about earlier to get you up and running quickly and to get you started. We'll provide those with you. Provide those to you, and then also the training that we talked about. So all of that, it's a kind of full package in effect. We want to get you up and running. We want to get you using the system. We want to make sure that your business is gaining gaining insight from the data as quickly as possible, and you're up and running as soon as you can, and building your own stuff. Yeah.
Is that customizable, that setup, or do we sort of?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said earlier, we do that scoping session for that reason. We want to look at, we've even before Novus, we've been doing many hospitality projects over many years, and over that time, two systems might be the same, but no two operators are ever exactly the same. So, and how they want to look at the data, what their particular focus is this month, and so we knew going into this that we needed to build Novus with customization at the core of it, and make sure that was easy for our customers or for us to do, to allow them to get the best out of it. So we've got customization at every level of the solution. So if you've got a data source that we've never integrated before, that you'd like to bring in, we can develop that, we can build that in for you. If you've got some particularly unusual KPI requirements or unusual calculations that maybe are just very specific to you, we can build those into the data warehouse. And then from a dashboard perspective, you've got ultimate flexibility, because although, yes, we deliver you with some pre-built dashboards, that's just to get you started and to get it into the business and people using it. Ultimately, it's a self-service tool. So you train some people in the right tool sets, and they can build whatever they like with this. They're not fixed reports that only we can change. You can take ownership of that and really start to make the most of it.
I'd imagine that whole bit of being self-sufficient is quite important to a few, I would imagine. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
All right, look, guys, that's really useful. Thank you. What I'm going to do, obviously, we can't go into a full demo on this short introduction, but I suspect a few of the people on the call will, want to have an idea of what those dashboards look like. And so I've got a few screenshots that I hope may pique some interest. Let me just share the screen again. Okay, so Nick, if you can help me talk through a few of these. So, start with sort of the access and what do people see when they first sign in.
Yeah, sure. So wrapped around Novus, we've developed a portal for users to log into as the kind of first place they come, and that portal is kind of the gateway to every other element of Novus. So from there, you can jump to any of the applications that you have, Qlik, Snowflake, etc. We also have links in there for key training and any useful videos we think people might find useful, and we also have the ability to manage user capabilities in there as well, and add new users and control user access. So that's our front page, if you like, our gateway towards, and then you jump from there into what we've labeled as Novus-AI Analytics, which is the Qlik Sense dashboards, which you see on the bottom right there, of a series of dashboards.
Yeah.
This is an example of one of the pages on our EPOS dashboard. Now, dashboard dashboard has many pages of lots of different detail, but this is the front page, gives you an overview view of your business, a few key KPIs, in this case net sales, covers and spend per head, but they can be adapted to your business if you don't count covers and you count transactions, or if you do completely different KPIs, we can change those for you. Some trending information and some grouping based on different sites. So versus last year in this case, but this can also be versus budget and whatever the key things that your business wants to see.
Yeah. So if the data's there, we can put it into dashboards like this.
Yeah. Absolutely. And like I said, this is the starting point, right? So you'll get this a few days after we get access to your data, and you'll immediately have this in front of you. And fair enough, maybe some of it doesn't quite fit with how you work, and then we start to look at tweaking it for you and making it absolutely how your business needs to see it. But it's a good starting place.
Yeah, absolutely. What have I also got? Labour, you talked about earlier on, another key part.
So similarly, labour, we tend to look at labour alongside sales, so that you can get your labour percentage. So again, versus last year, versus budget, versus forecast as well. Typically, we'll have a forecast as well as a budget for labour. So again, this is a case of looking at labour cost percentages, but then we can drill into this in more detail. If there's HR reporting around this as well, then we can provide that, as long as the data source provides that data. So this helps you to kind of match your staffing patterns to your sales patterns, and so we bring the EPOS data and the labour data together so that you can start looking at that together. And really, you know, and because of the flexibility, this again is the front page. So the detail on the further pages starts to drill into some of that more complex analysis.
Okay. Bookings, another key element, I guess, with hospitality.
Yeah, absolutely. And different hospitality businesses look at bookings in different ways.
Right.
So, you know, this app is designed to look at a variety of different ways of looking at your bookings. I mean, we're coming up to we've just had Valentine's Day. We're coming up to Mother's Day. So, you know, as a restaurant business, you might be looking at, what are my bookings for the next 12 weeks coming up to Mother's Day? How are we looking? How many sites? What are the covers that we've got booked in? So we give you that kind of long-term view on here in the form of like a heat map. But we also look at pre-booked sales as well. So some hospitality companies will look at the value of those bookings. So that becomes a kind of forecast of sorts of what are we looking at pre-booked in terms of our sales going forward. So we've integrated this example here is taking data from Collins, I think, and just looking at some of those KPIs in terms of the bookings over the next, I think it might be 12 weeks, something like that. So you can plan that, plan your capacity and also your staffing potentially as well, based around what your bookings are looking like.
Yep. Okay. And then lastly, we've got some feedback stuff, which again, important.
Yeah, so customer feedback of various types, it becomes more and more important. So that's both surveys within the stores to Google reviews and those kind of online reviews. So we can take some of that information in and put it alongside your other data that we've talked about, but also visualize it in interesting ways, show you how your NPS scores are trending over time, show you the kind of, we can analyze the data because we have some access to some of the tool sets within Snowflake. We can do sentiment analysis, we can do summary analysis on those reviews as well. So we can start to use some of the AI capabilities to really bring some useful insight into your customer feedback as well.
Yeah, because it's multiple systems, I guess if there's if you get some poor feedback on an evening, you can look back and say, okay, yeah, there were 2 people off sick, so there were fewer staff than there would normally be. Maybe that's what's driving that. So, yeah, Absolutely. It's giving you that insight, isn't it? Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, just before we get onto the Q&A section, I just want to let you know about a couple more webinars that we've got coming up. So if you follow Ometis on LinkedIn, we make most of our announcements on there, alongside email if we have your details. Upcoming is a session on financial planning, so budgeting, forecasting, and the like. And then we have another session a little like this, but with a sort of nuanced difference. Because we're going to be talking to people who run franchises with multiple brands. So the principle is the same as we've shown you today, but you may have a more complex array of systems. So you could have multiple EPOS solutions, for example, as different brands may insist you use theirs in your locations, but all solvable. I think it's fair to say. So if we move on to questions, do we have any in the chat at the moment? No, but what I do have is some that were posted from people who were unable to attend. So, when should you build bespoke, and when should you choose Novus-AI? Simon, do you want to answer?
Yeah, I'll pick that one up. I think the conversations that I have with customers there tends to be sometimes a natural answer to that question. So if you're a smaller operator with not so many outlets, then Novus-AI is probably the most cost-effective way of delivering a comprehensive, almost bespoke-like solution for you. So I tend to find that the smaller operators tend to veer more towards Novus-AI. With larger operators, I'll talk to them about exactly what they're aiming to achieve over the next few years. Tortilla, for example, didn't want to invest in a data team. They didn't want to invest in buying software and having to manage and maintain that software. So even though they've got over 70 trading locations in the UK, Novus was the perfect fit for them because it fitted that brief. On the other hand, it could well be I've got a prospect at the moment who is slightly fewer outlets, but they want their own system. They want to manage and maintain it. So it comes down to a conversation. I don't think there is a fixed answer to say if you are this, the answer is that, and if you are this, the answer is that. So I'm more than happy to put both options in front of an operator and discuss it with them and find out what would suit them best.
Okay, no, that's fair enough. We had a one that came in last night actually, which I had a little chuckle at. So Nick, if you could answer this. So the question was, we're a Tableau house. Can we still use Novus-AI? Now, for those not aware, Tableau is a data visualization tool, so it can be used for the sort of dashboard bits that we've shown. So Nick, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said earlier, so the solution, it isn't just Qlik Sense, right? So Qlik Sense is our chosen kind of data visualization BI tool that we've chosen to build those dashboards in. We think it's one of the best, if not the best, on the market. So but underlying that, we have this data warehouse, right? So which is built within Snowflake, which is a cloud data warehouse leader, and so that data warehouse will exist and can be used with any BI tool. So if you already are heavily invested in Tableau or indeed in Power BI or some other BI tool, and you would prefer to visualize your data in those tools, then absolutely, we can still deliver Novus to you. We just wouldn't provide you with the starter dashboards that we showed that are built in Qlik, but we can help you. We have capabilities in a variety of BI tools within Tortilla and Ometis, and so we can help you with those as well if necessary. But if not, we can just provide you with that data warehouse solution, and you can go to town.
Yeah. No, okay, thank you. So again, another funny one. Apologies, Simon. I'm going to chuck this your way. Is AI,
go on.
This is about as broad, right? I think if we've got another couple of days, we might answer this. Is AI just hype, or are hospitality brands using it well, blindly?
Look, I don't think it's hype, but I do think there's lots of elements of AI. What actually is it? How does it work for us? What can we do with it? There are lots of different AI technologies out there. So we have some of them. So we're exploring the AI capabilities of Snowflake, so that we can use it for natural language query using a chatbot style solution. There are capabilities within Qlik as well. So there is AI out there available. We have it available, and actually, what's also worth pointing out, it sort of links a little bit back to your last question around could you use Tableau. If an operator is using Novus-AI and wants to attach other tools to that Snowflake data warehouse because we've got all the data in one place and that's what they need, we can do that. So if they found an AI solution that they wanted to plug in, then we've built the platform for them. Plug it in, away you go. So I don't think AI is by any means something that's going away at all in the short term. I think it's something that will be expanded on and used more and more and more, and it will just get better and better and better as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, another question that we got. I think you answered before, Nick, really about sort of can I have different dashboards? So you answered that recently, but yeah, I mean, Simon, another one for you then. So what if I want to do distribution of dashboards? Now that it doesn't actually say what they mean by that. I'm assuming they mean sending out PDFs or something like that.
Yeah, I think that much as we would all love to get away from doing report distribution, so scheduled reports going out at 7 o'clock every morning with our daily sales onto every site and the GM of that site. Fundamentally, that's what most operators still want to do. They want to provide additional capabilities, but they still want to be able to do that push style reporting, burst reporting, whatever you want to call it, and Novus can do that.
Okay.
So there's absolutely no reason why we can't continue to do it. I think you do have to recognize, though, why you're doing and what you're going to get from it, and that is it's a static report. It's going to give me the numbers, whatever numbers are on that report, and I'm not going to be able to ask any questions of it.
Yeah, I think this is actually so linked to what you've just said there. Actually, is a question that's come in into the chat from Neil, saying apologies if this has been mentioned before. He said, but he's assuming that mobile visual capabilities are available, and also assume that there isn't an actual app. So I think that touches a little bit on what you've just said there, where we think it's better if people can interact with the data rather than just read the PDF, but there is a place for that still. So who wants to take that question from Neil then?
Well, I think just very quickly, and Nick may want to add to this, we refer to app as the application that we have built that contains the data and the dashboards in the Qlik sense environment. So that's what we're talking about an app, but there is also a Qlik app, and it works on all mobile devices, tablets and phones. So you don't have to get your laptop out to be able to access Novus-AI. You could be doing it on your phone. So you can, so long as you're somewhere where you've got network coverage, you could be using Qlik's app and then be viewing your dashboards. So Nick, did you want to add?
I think you can also access that on a browser, though, if you didn't want to use an app as well, right? Because Qlik will adapt very, very cleverly to the screen that it's working on. So those dashboards you saw, all of those visuals would appear on a phone. They might just appear in a slightly different order, in a slightly different way, but you could absolutely build stuff for or access existing dashboards, or even build stuff specifically for mobile audiences.
Yes,
that's what you're looking for.
Okay. Slightly more technical one then. Apologies, Simon. Probably going to Nick again. No insult then. You mentioned adding calculations directly into the data warehouse. How easy is this to do, and how complex can they be?
So for the data warehouse, depending on how you want to do that. So typically our customers will rely on us to build the data warehouse pipelines for them. So that we have these pre-built integrations we talked about, and then we have this kind of customization layer on top of that. And within that customization layer, we can talk to you, and then we can develop those measures within that data warehouse pipeline for you. So we can add them reasonably simply, but it's a thing that we would need to do rather than handing that over to the customer. However, if the customer wants to develop further on the data within Snowflake, that's also an option. None of our current customers are doing that, but it's the technologies we've chosen allow for that. So that's just a discussion that we would need to have with you. In terms of how complex they can be, I mean, effectively, if you can write a query against a data warehouse, a SQL query or a Python query, I don't know how technical you want to get, but then we can do it. So we've got very complex and calculations built into some of this stuff, and in various solutions we've developed in the past. So I would say, I'm willing to take the challenge on that one. I'm interested to know how complex you want to make it, because I like a challenge.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And then one last question has to be aimed at you, Simon. This one, I think. Where can I see a demo? We'd
Just
love you to.
email me, call me, contact us via the website. Yeah, just get in touch with us. You can get in touch through LinkedIn and through the website, or directly with any of the three of us. We're more than happy to have a chat with you about what you're looking to do and show you Novus-AI, and see how it fits, and talk about what we can do to help you on your data journey and get more insight from the data that you've got. So
yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, that's us for today. I hope it proved useful, and you got some value from it. A big thank you to Simon and Nick for their time. I hope I was gentle with you chaps. The recording will be sent out later. I think it'll probably be next week now. But if you like what you've seen today, it's piqued your interest, then we'd love to hear from you. So please do get in touch. But for now, thanks very much for attending, and we hope to see you on the next one. Thanks all.
Thank you.